Hey everyone, I'm Sam.
And I'm Stevie.
We're here today with no question left behind to answer all of the questions that we left behind during our Glass Live. So we will get to all of the questions that we didn't cover and even go over some in a little more detail that we did touch on. We've got a pretty long list of questions. Stevie is ready to rock and roll. But as you can tell, Nick is not here today. I figure we should probably let these guys know why, so they really care about Nick. So last night, he's gonna be okay, everything's all right. And that is why Nick's not here today, unfortunately. We've been told he will be back very soon, so do not worry, everything will be all right. Now let's get to glass, all right? That's a bummer. But cleaning, we're gonna start out with the cleaning category, and then we'll proceed into decon and polishing and move through these questions as quickly as possible. So, without any more talking, RHP Video asks, is it safe to use alcohol to clean the inside of the windshield? I get this bad film on the inside. So films on interior glass are very common. Alcohol can be used to clean the inside of the windshield. You just want to make sure that you're using 70% isopropyl is normally what we recommend. The 90% can be dangerous to vinyls and plastics and dash materials. Also, of course, make sure that there is no tint on your windshield or adjacent surfaces. And then I recommend spraying directly onto a towel and not directly onto the windshield so that you don't get overspray on any dash materials that could potentially be softened or damaged by the alcohol.
If you're smoking in the car, stop smoking in the car or smoking altogether. And
we care about your health.
Yeah. Whatever. We'll move on to the next one. So Scott Dayhoff asks, any reason you can't use the ceramic glass cleaner on the inside of your glass? A friend of mine did it with no issues. You are perfectly fine to use ceramic glass cleaner on the inside of your glass. However, just note, you're not really going to see the same benefit that you would. You're not, well, I mean, I guess, assuming that you're not projectile sneezing constantly, but it is safe on interior glass.
Yeah, just shouldn't be much water hitting your interior glass, so you're not going to get the repellency. But Scott Doyle asks, looking forward to some tips removing dried-on bugs after a long road trip. That's a great question, common problem. If you're referring to glass, pretty easy to do. My favorite way to remove caked on bugs is, of course, first clean the glass thoroughly. Either of our glass cleaner options will work, or a thorough car wash. And then I like to clay off caked on bug guts, because a lot of times they're difficult to get off of the glass. With glass, you don't have to worry about marring it or anything when you clay it. So just go over it real quick with speed shine and like the synthetic clay or even glass cleaning clay. That will take off any of the remaining stuck on guts that are more stubborn.
Yeah, I like to, during the wash process, because you are inevitably going to wash all of your vehicle, not just the glass. During the wash process, after I've removed most of the filth, typically it'll be a two-step after I've gone on a road trip and get nasty bug guts. But you'll do your foam and touchless wash and then re-foam. And then what I'll do is I'll spray like tar and sap remover or bug and smudge remover, soften those bug guts up. And that way, whatever doesn't come off, then you can get a little more aggressive with, if you will.
Yeah, bug and smudge is probably our best product for bugs. It's specifically for bug removal. Other products you could use, like Stevie said, would be the tar and sap, bug tar and sap remover, the aerosol, and or foaming surface prep is also a good solution for breaking down bugs. Let's see, what's the next one? MJ?
Yeah, MJ asked, are all your window cleaning products safe for tinted windows? My new car is getting tinted as we speak. Yes, all of our window or glass cleaning products are, I don't know why I air quoted. All of our cleaning products are safe on tinted windows. We don't recommend polishing the interior of your tinted window because that's where the tint is.
Yeah, you will mar tint if you try to polish it. Glass sealant is also not safe for tint either, so do not use that on tinted surfaces. Mario Santiago asks, good evening. I ask you, how fast does ceramic glass start to repel rain? So guess you're talking about ceramic glass cleaner. We do recommend that 12 to 24 hour setup time. So once you've applied that, keep the surface dry ideally for 12 to 24 hours. If you do that, you will have maximum repellency. It will begin to have that full repellency immediately after that cure period. If you don't have the ability to go through that cure period, don't worry, it's not going to completely wash off. It will repel rain right away. It just won't be quite as hydrophobic or repellent as it would if you went through that full cure period.
And if you'd like, you can check out, you were in our live, but if you missed that portion of the live, you can check our live out that we did 2 days ago when this goes up.
Yes.
And we did a demonstration where we did glass sealant on one window and ceramic glass cleaner on the other, and then almost immediately showed you the repellency of both.
Yeah, so you can see what you'll get. That's a great reference, Stevie. See what you'll get with no cure time with ceramic glass cleaner.
Ryan N. asked, will regular glass cleaner diminish ceramic protection? No, it won't.
Alan Friedlander asked, what about using a blower to dry windows? That is a great solution, Alan Friedlander. Blowers are an awesome way to dry all of the exterior of the vehicle, and they're also the safest way to dry because you're not touching the surface with anything, so there's no way you're going to cause scratches. Drying is one of the common processes that will cause scratches or swirl marks, so using a blower is an awesome way to get it done.
Eric Morris asked, how often should I use ceramic glass cleaner? I would say at the most every other week, maybe each month, a once monthly cleaning, wipe down.
Yeah, you could probably use it like weekly, but it's not intended to be used as something that you're constantly cleaning your glass with. Because of the ceramic protection in there, that will build and can become filmy over time if you do overuse it. I've been following that like bi-weekly or once a month, or sorry, every other week or once a month, not twice a week. Richard Cohn asks, what's the difference between your regular glass cleaners? Water-based versus ammonia, question mark. Our glass cleaners do not contain any ammonia. There are glass cleaners out there on the market that do contain ammonia. Ammonia is not safe for automotive tint, so that's why our products do not contain it. If you're using an off-the-shelf product from grocery store or some other big box store that's in general for glass cleaning, check if it has ammonia. If it does, do not use it, at least not on your interior glass if it's tinted. Our cleaners are going to be pretty similar in terms of ingredients. The foaming glass cleaner is going to be my preference most of the time because of the foam nature of it. It clings to the window and you aren't chasing drips and runs down the surface. It tends to have a little bit better cleaning ability than the window cleaner. However, the window cleaner, because of the trigger spray form, you can really hose down and soak a surface with that product. It makes the surface more wet. So in certain situations where you have a lot of like loose dirt, sometimes that can help remove it more easily.
We had a previous question about bug guts too, and the foaming glass cleaner would definitely help like dwell on those bug guts and soften them up.
Good point. I tend to prefer foaming for interior too, because you're not chasing drips, getting on your door panels and stuff like that. But they're both great solutions, and neither of them contain ammonia.
Brian Prozik asked, is it true that newspaper and vinegar are good to use instead of paper towels and Windex? I would say no, neither of those are really good to use.
Yeah,
like, sure, you could get away with it.
Old school concepts. Newspaper nowadays uses soy-based ink. It used to use petroleum-based ink, which is why it was popular for window cleaning. The soy-based ink can actually bleed off of the paper onto your glass and cause streaks. So that's really the main reason we don't recommend newspaper for glass anymore. There are better solutions out there in the no-nap window cleaning microfiber towels. Vinegar can still be used for cleaning glass. You just want to make sure that you're using an appropriate dilution for glass cleaning. Vinegar is very acidic, and if used at full strength, you could potentially etch glass if you left it on for too long, or etch adjacent surfaces if it gets on there. And it doesn't smell great in my opinion, so I wouldn't really want my interior smelling like vinegar.
Yeah, me
if I were
either.
you guys. But
Just use glass cleaner.
But it can be used. It is still an effective solution for glass. Just make sure you're using it at the proper dilution for glass cleaning. And that's going to depend on what you're doing with it essentially. Are you trying to remove water spots, or are you just trying to clean the glass and get dirt off?
Scott T asked, how does the age of the glass affect the ability to clean? I would say that it's important to keep in mind older glass likely will have some sort of defecting, whether it be some pitting or maybe even some chips or scratches, things like that you aren't going to be able to remove. And oftentimes it can seem like there's just this nasty film when it might just be really bad, like pitting and sandblasting almost.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. It might not ever look perfect, but other than that, there's no reason why old glass would be harder to clean than modern glass.
The only other situation I could think of is if it's been like very neglected and it's like really, really water spotted or really contaminated to where cleaning, cleaners aren't going to want to flash off, stuff like that. But if it's been maintained, really, not going to be much of a difference, like you said. James Giannikis asks, can you use ceramic glass cleaner over standard glass cleaner? I tried to once and I had issues a few weeks later. Yes, you can absolutely do that. That's mainly what we've been recommending. If your windows are extremely dirty, use one of the basic glass cleaners first and then follow up with ceramic glass cleaner to get the protection. That would be for very, very soiled glass. But you shouldn't see any issues there. So I would give our customer service a call if you're still having these problems and let us know exactly what you're seeing, if it's streaks or film or what's going on there, and we can try and help you through it.
Then moving on to our decontamination questions. We have a question from Dave Nyack. Can I use surface prep cleanser to prep the glass before clay? Sure you could, but it'd be better to use it after you clay prior to a potential protection step.
Yeah. You could use it to clean the glass before you clay if that's what you're asking, but you don't necessarily need to prep the glass before claying it, other than making sure it's clean of residual loose dirt. But surface prep cleanser is a great way, like Stevie said, wipe down after decon or after polishing before protection. Freedom Creek asks, can the clay bar be used to decontaminate headlights, taillights, etc.? Absolutely. The clay bar, as well as the synthetic clay options in the surface prep mitts, the surface prep pads, and the Brilliant Finish synthetic clay. Can't forget our clay towel. We have a lot of options now. Those can all be used on headlights and taillights. So really every exterior surface that is smooth and glossy can be decontaminated with those mechanical methods.
J.K. Chillingworth asked, how can I tell when my clay's useful life is up? Predominantly the color, it'll start to get more of a dingy kind of color to it than it originally had.
Yeah, if you're using the glass clay, it'll turn like a blackish gray kind of color. The paint clay will get very like brown looking. So you'll know when you look at it and it's like, ew, that doesn't really look like something I want to put back on my car. Let's see. Dave P asked, on side glass, do you only need to decontaminate? I assume meaning is there benefits to polishing and sealing your side glass?
That was my note, sorry.
Oh no, you're good. Dave P, I'm guessing like you probably don't have water spots on your side glass, so you're not seeing as much need. Side glass, vertical, gravity is going to help you out more there in not allowing water spots to form as much and as severely. However, you're still going to benefit from polishing and sealing it, especially sealing it. Let's say if you don't have water spots, you may not need to polish it, but sealing your side windows is going to give you the same visibility that you get through your windshield, which obviously your windshield isn't the only window you're looking through as you're driving. And on your side windows, you don't have wipers abrading that protection, so it's really going to last. I would say 2 to 3 times as long in most scenarios. In my experience, I only have to put glass sealant on my side windows once a year. Mm-hmm. It might last even more than that in a lot of situations.
I would note though that I'm a victim of this. Sometimes you go visit a friend or family member and you don't know that there's a sprinkler where you park because they're not necessarily car people. Maybe they don't warn you. So I definitely would recommend keeping up on your sealant, as an additional note there. You definitely can get water spots. It's not like you won't, but definitely keep up on your glass sealant or ceramic glass cleaner.
Water spots are less likely on side glass and usually much less severe, but still worth polishing and sealing those windows.
Our next question was from Kevin Clancy. Any tips on storing synthetic clay when not in use? I've experienced it sticking to things It was stored in a storage bin after it hadn't been used for a year or so. Ideally, you would want to keep it in a drawer or some type of closed area where A, it's not being exposed to dirt and filth, but B, it's not being exposed to potential overspray, or I don't know what you're doing in your garage, maybe sawdust or like some nasty things like that, paint.
Like that, yeah.
But ideally in a dry, preferably temperature controlled environment.
Yeah, a couple of things, if the tote that you had it in or the storage bin that you had it in was exposed to sunlight at all, that can soften the polymeric surface on those clay tools, as well as heat. So if it were like sitting next to a heater or something, that can also soften it. One of my favorite ways, when I put it in a drawer, I'll just set it face down on top of a towel, just a low nap microfiber towel. Doesn't hurt to spray it with some speed shine, wipe it down first to make sure there's nothing on the surface that's going to increase stickiness. And then, store it face down in a drawer or bin on top of a microfiber towel. Solvents and all sorts of stuff can soften those materials. They are warranted, so if you're confident that nothing funky happened in terms of you exposing it to heat or solvent, and it's simply a defect, give us a call. We can replace it for you. So next topic is polishing.
So we had a question from Wesley Wise. What pad do you recommend for polishing glass before coating that isn't rayon? I assume that you're trying to get utility out of the pads that you already have instead of purchasing a separate glass pad. If that's the case, I would recommend our Boss white foam pads. You could get away with the orange foam pads, but they're going to be less aggressive, give you less bite.
Yeah, and even the white foam's not going to cut out water spots quite as well as those rayon fiber glass pads do, so just keep that in mind when you're working. If it's taking a little longer, it's probably because you don't have those glass pads. Omega Detailing LV asks, will glass polish take away wiper blade tracks and outlines? This is probably one of our most common questions about glass polish, one that we definitely meant to get to the other day, but it's tough to answer. Is in some cases it will, if those wiper marks are more of a scuff and not a tangible scratch. If those wiper marks were caused by abrasives on the windshield like sand or dirt and the wipers were used dry, then they could have caused scratches, and those scratches will most often not be removable via polishing. So I have had situations where I've been able to take out kind of that like gray, hazy looking scuff that you get on the outside edge of a wiper pass. But if there's scratches from sand and things on the glass, you're not going to be able to take that out.
Brian Roche asked, what is there to do about light pitting on the glass? Not a chip per se, but a small imperfection. Really nothing.
Yeah, replace it. Unfortunately, that's the only option. You can't, large rock chips, you have those resins where you can fill and repair the chip. You can't really do that with tiny, pitting chips. So that's a tough scenario. Next is on to protection. So these questions are all more about glass sealant and ceramic glass cleaner. Gordon Chan asked, should surface prep cleanser be used after glass polish and before applying glass sealant? Absolutely, that is the perfect time to use surface prep cleanser and the perfect function for it to remove any residue that may be left from glass polish and prep the surface for full adhesion of glass sealant. Same exact type of process where you would use it on a paint surface.
Staying Brighter asked, is glass sealant safe to use on the interior glass if they're not tinted? Trying to keep kids' rear window art to a minimum. Yes, it is perfectly safe to use on the interior of non-tinted glass, non-tinted, emphasis there. And it could help prevent that smudging and nasty kind of window art.
Yeah, it's not going to prevent it altogether, but it might help it from sticking as much or from getting quite as egregious as it does. I'm with you on that one, Stang Rider. Those darn greasy fingers. All right, Tony Langowski asked, my question is about the glass sealant. How often should it be reapplied, and any special removal process other than good cleaning? For application, I like to do it twice a year. Depending on how often you use your wiper blades, you may need to do it more than that, or you may need to do it less than that. Up here in Washington, we get a ton of rain during the fall and winter seasons. Right now is crazy anomaly. It's 70 degrees and sunny outside in the middle of October, which has never happened in my lifetime, at least not that I remember. But normally up here, it's going to wear off quicker because of the rain and the wiper usage. And I still typically only apply it twice a year. If you're doing 2 coats, it's going to last you a good long time. That's with, I would say, moderate usage. I try to keep mine off when I have a good coat of that on there.
Yeah, I mean, especially here in Washington, we tend to get random rainstorms throughout the year. So I typically will apply a good healthy coat before fall and before spring. That way I'm covered throughout the entire year. I have a healthy coat of glass sealant on there.
Yeah, that's a great guideline. As far as getting it off, if you need to remove it, cleaning the glass will not take it off. It is a very durable product. Any protectant that comes off when you clean the glass probably isn't going to last very long through rain and wiper abrasion and things like that. So be cautious of products that do come off that easy. But to get it off, the best way is really to polish it off. That's the best way to ensure that it is completely removed. If it's weakened and an older application, you could potentially remove a light layer of it with surface prep cleanser and potentially claying the glass or a combination of those two. But polishing is the easiest, quickest way to get it all the way off.
Gordon Chan asked, for side view mirrors and backup cameras, which would provide longer protection between glass sealant or ceramic 3-in-1? And I'd say you'd get very close durability from both of them. They're both going to last a very long time on the side, rear view mirrors and the back camera, just because they're not getting abraded by anything, hopefully. Probably not. And I'd say you'd probably get about a year out of both of those. Yeah. So just really pick your poison on that one.
Solid recommendation. Let's see, I lost my spot. All right, Ron Feldman asks, if you use a foamer with the ceramic wash and coat to wash the vehicle, is ceramic glass cleaner a better choice to clean the exterior glass afterwards? This one was a little bit tough to interpret. I think you could have meant this one or two ways, but ceramic wash and coat, if you're using that to wash the vehicle, you're getting the ceramic protection on the glass during that step. It's not going to hurt you to use ceramic glass cleaner on the glass, in between washes. However, you don't necessarily need to. You are getting pretty stout ceramic protection from ceramic wash and coat during that wash process. Now, we've been preaching a lot about using supplemental products that feed your base protection. So if your base protection is ceramic, you're using wash and coat as your wash product, using ceramic glass cleaner as your glass cleaning product is the perfect solution. So not necessarily a trade-off, but you can use them together.
BH asked, do you recommend using a wax on windows? Some waxes say they can be used. Does using a wax increase streaking? In short, I would say that a product like a wax that's more of a general purpose product intended for painted surfaces primarily, there is going to be an increased chance of streaking versus products that are specifically designed for use on glass. So in that sense, yes, there will be a higher chance of streaking. That's not to say that you shouldn't use a wax on glass. For example, ceramic 3-in-1 wax is fantastic on glass, but you will get a higher chance of streaking from waxes, and there are better products that are designed specifically for use on surfaces that are completely transparent and you're going to be looking through constantly.
For sure. Let's see, Ryan N asks, can you apply sealant and ceramic cleaners in the cold winter? This answer pretty much applies to any car care product relative to using it in cold temperatures, but yes, you can do it. Will it be as user-friendly as in more moderate temperatures? No. The issue you're always going to run into when it's cold is products not wanting to dry off the surface. If you're outside in the cold weather and you have dew forming on the car, you're going to be fighting that as well, which moisture on the finish ahead of application or immediately after application could also impact the performance of a protectant product. So normally I would not recommend applying sealants and ceramic products in too cold of weather. Now, what's too cold? It's another tough question to give an exact answer of, but I would say anything below 55 or 60 degrees, you're going to start to have a harder time drying it off the surface, doing it quickly, getting it to be user-friendly for you. One tip that helps a lot in those environments, if you're out in the cold or there's moisture forming on the surface from dew and things like that, using PFM towels. They're so absorbent that it's just going to help reduce your wiping time and the amount of passes that you need to make over to get something dried off of the finish. So those will really help you out if you're applying products in cold weather. Or if you can, wait till a warmer part of the day to apply those products. I understand that there are scenarios where you don't have an option. But
if you're Jeff in Minnesota, where it's 3 feet of snow for half the year.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully you've done a lot of your preparation before all that snow fell and it got really cold. But if you do need to use something, waiting until the warmest part of the day, make sure it's not freezing temperatures. Obviously, liquids will freeze when it's freezing out. It's hard to wash cars when it's freezing out. And then you're just going to run into difficulty with it drying. So the warmer, the better. Obviously, to a point, there are both ends of the spectrum. You can have issues if it's too hot, then it dries too quickly, things like that. So, yeah, moderate temps are best.
The next question is from Sergio Hurtado, who is trying to take my job. I've noticed while using the ceramic glass cleaner that it's very difficult to get streak-free. Advice. I would say my top 3 advice points or tips would be to make sure you're not over-applying. Make sure that you have a dry towel to follow with if you're not frequently swapping the towel that you're using to ensure that it's drying the product appropriately, and ensure you're not working on a warm surface.
All right, let's see, that was the last of protection. So we're on to general glass questions. These are all kind of random glass questions all across the board. And I think we're going to get to all of them. We're getting close here. So Brian Prosek asked, best way to clean the dash without getting product on the lower windshield. We always recommend cleaning the glass as the very last step in the interior to prevent exactly that issue. So you're not getting products on the glass after it's clean, obviously. So definitely change up your process and just wait until the very last step to do all of your interior glass cleaning. Another tip would be to spray products directly onto the towel or applicator instead of spraying them onto the dash where they're going to splash up and hit the windshield. Really, for all interior cleaning, that's one of my recommended practices, is to spray your cleaners and your dressings directly onto your towel or applicator versus spraying it on the surface where it's highly likely it's going to get overspray on an adjacent area.
And one of my personal favorite tips is to use the window cleaner set to clean your dash, especially on like Corvettes or anything with a really tight angle. Put your interior cleaning towel down, already saturated in product, and then use that to kind of push it into those crevices and get around. Again, though, you'll want to make sure that you do your glass last because you will likely get a slight edge of transfer along the bottom, but then just go back in with a glass cleaning towel on the window cleaner set and get it.
Yeah, that multi-purpose bonnet that comes with the window cleaner set could be good for that solution as well. That's another great way to clean a lot of vehicles, especially sedans and coupes. You have the third brake light, above the deck on the interior, or usually there's like some trim that really makes it hard to get anything onto the glass right behind that third brake light. That window cleaner set can get in there as well. Good tip.
BH asked, will you post the items discussed listed below your video? Thanks. Sure. Yeah.
Come on, Matt, get on it.
That was an easy one. So Omega Detailing LV asked, do you wash the glass towels differently from your other microfiber towels? Nope, exactly the same. Avoid washing them with other towels that could potentially transfer lint onto these towels, and don't wash them with your normal laundry. Use microfiber and foam pad cleaner and a fabric softener free laundry detergent, and then air dry or dry them on a low or no heat setting.
Do you use your same products and techniques for sunroof glass? That was asked by Scott T. Yes, you do, absolutely. I would say the only difference with sunroof glass is do not spray a glass cleaner above your head like this, or you will, obviously you can tell what's gonna happen.
You'll get a shower.
Same thing if you're doing a hatch, in a hatchback van, an SUV, a hatchback car. If you're doing interior glass with the hatch up, spray it onto your towel or applicator, or stand out of the way if you need to hose it down, but be cautious of getting overspray in your face. Wear eye protection.
So the next two questions kind of go together. I'll read them both first. Michael B. asked, do you have a product I can use on my shower glass door to clean and prevent spotting and promote water beading and runoff? And then Alan Friedlander asked, can I use my buffer on shower glass? Yes, you can treat shower glass just like you would your vehicle glass. So wipe it down with a cleaner, decontaminate if needed, polish if you've got some nasty water spots built up, and then I would recommend glass sealant for the best durability to help maintain those water spots and keep the water running off.
Word. One other tip for sunroofs that I forgot to mention is make sure you get them sealed with glass sealant. Being that sunroofs are usually flat, you're going to be most likely to get water spots there because water's, when it settles on there, it's going to be allowed to just sit. So sealing sunroofs is essential to make your life easier. Alan Friedlander, you answered that one. Richard Barron asked, is there anything that can be used on interior plastics to minimize off-gassing that fogs window glass? Oh man, I wish there was, Richard. The company that comes out with that product will be very successful with that product.
We'll get on it.
That's a big problem. But yeah, preventing off-gassing from settling on your glass is going to be tough to do. You just have to keep up on it. I would say maintaining your interior, cleaning your dash surfaces, your door panel materials, and keeping a good dressing on them is likely going to help slow down the off-gassing. And then not smoking in your vehicle or vaping in your vehicle. Those are also very common causes of window film. So if you can, like Steve recommended earlier, quit. Mm-hmm. Health is important. Yeah. If you can't quit, try not to
We care about you
car.
here at Griot's Garage. We want you as customers for life, and we want that to be a long life.
Well, obviously, we're not going to tell you what to do. Do what you want. But if you're getting film on the glass and you're also smoking in the vehicle, that may be why. So.
Another thing too, frequent maintenance is easy maintenance. Yep. So you can't necessarily prevent the off-gassing from building up on your glass, but the more frequently you wipe it down, the easier it's going to be to clean. Yeah, and if you don't smoke in your vehicle and you're still getting off-gassing, it's just a natural occurrence with newer, especially dash materials. I was remembering a dad joke last night in the chat, and I was going to say, stop farting. Oh, well, yeah, that could potentially cause some window film too. So, yeah, careful what you eat for lunch if you're going for a long drive. All right, back to questions. Yeah. Let's see, what's the next one we got here? Is it okay to use a magic eraser on windows? This was a unique one that I haven't seen before, but it's a good question. What does it do for the glass was the other part of that question. So, I've never used a magic eraser on glass personally, but magic erasers are abrasive, so it would likely have some ability at removing light spots. It's going to be similar to using a double or triple aught steel wool on glass to remove water spots. Well, I do personally think using a dedicated glass polish like our fine glass polish is going to be safer and more effective, less likely to potentially cause issues. However, a magic eraser should not be too aggressive to where it's going to scratch or mar glass. Of course, as I said, I have never tested that, so test it in an inconspicuous area if you do intend on using a magic eraser on glass. And then what does it do for glass? I can't say that it definitely removes water spots. But theoretically. But my theory would be that it does because it is abrasive. That's why they're so good at rubbing marker and crayon off of painted walls and stuff like that, because if you look closely, the surface has often been altered depending on how you use that magic eraser. It's essentially like very fine sandpaper. So it is removing material usually. So be cautious of that if you're using it on or around a vehicle. So especially on paint, they can mar paint pretty badly. So yeah, let's see what else. Next, we have a couple of miscellaneous questions. Staying Rider 1 asked, would the headlight restoration kit be okay to use on the small third brake light lens of a 99 to 2004 Mustang? Yes, absolutely. Actually, not the 99 to 04 Mustang. You can't use it on, I'm totally kidding. It's perfectly safe for any third brake light lens. It's not safe on Mustangs. I was kidding. Joke. No, yeah, great solution for any plastic lens, really, whether it be headlights, taillights, third brake lights. If it's oxidized or faded, it's a good way to clean it up. Marathon Man Pete Moss asked, I just picked up a Griot's kit. I have light swirl marks from using a drill in the sanding process with another kit. Should I do all the sanding steps to get rid of the swirl marks? Yes, definitely. That's going to be the easiest way to get rid of those swirls.
is to sand them out with the steps or the papers that are included with our kit. So it's always a good idea to sand more than you think you might need to as well. Spend a little more time on those steps, and that will likely ensure that you get those swirl marks out completely.
Yeah, I would say especially if you're seeing visible circular swirls, you definitely want to sand the heck out of it.
Yeah, it could be that the previous kit that you used too aggressive of a sandpaper or a low quality sandpaper, and the protectant or coating that was used to bring the lens back wasn't enough to perfectly fill that. So that is common. We have seen that with a lot of other headlight kits out there on the market, or if you don't sand well enough.
Yeah. And then last question is from RHP Video. In the sanding process for headlight kits, is it better to use dry sanding or wet sanding? Wet sanding, that way you're keeping the sandpaper and the headlight flushed frequently of all of the residue, nasty oxidation that you're removing.
Yeah, it just makes for a smoother process. Your sandpaper will last longer, makes for a more uniform finish. So it is the way to go. That's it. We finished all the questions, Stevie.
Yay.
Awesome job. So thank you guys all for joining us. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you are not already. If you are already subscribed, thank you. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos.
Including our SEMA Live.
Yes.
November
Live.
1st at 4 p.m. We'll be releasing our new products, launching them and telling you about them. And then our follow-up live on the 16th at our normal time, 4 o'clock.
Huge giveaway.
Pacific. Yeah, we'll be having a huge giveaway. We'll give away probably a few sets of all of our SEMA products that we're releasing, aside from one very special one that you'll have to stay tuned to see. But that's going to be on the 16th at 4 o'clock. And that's when we'll be answering all of your questions. So definitely make sure you're here for that one.
Yeah, so like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment, follow us on Facebook and Instagram so you don't miss out on anything. And as always, have fun in your garage.